Hey guys, so today we're gonna take a look at the most common mistakes to make with Vice Q. So I see this happen at every elo and I'm yet to see a single player who doesn't do at least one of these mistakes. Even though there's small improvements, small mistakes, it's gonna have a huge impact on your gameplay if you fix all of these, so let's just dive right into it. So the most common mistakes to make with Vice Q and specifically Q flash when you're ganking or even just catching people is that if you Q and then you flash onto the target in a straight direction. So this is gonna just push him slightly forward and even towards his tower in many cases, and also you're gonna land on the side of him, which means he can easily run away from your autos. It's also harder to follow up. But if you instead do it like this, so if you position yourself, so you Q a bit down and then you flash upwards, so not only you're gonna push him towards your tower, which is going to give you a longer distance, this is almost going to make up an entire flash distance, and we all know how much easier there is to gank a lane without a flash. So, and to make this even better, you're also landing like downstream from him, which means you can get a couple of autos before he starts passing you, right? So you can get off a bit of extra damage, longer distance to get the kill. You're going to help out your team with landing more spells. And also a small second benefit to this is if the enemy target is close to the tower, you can actually Q to the side and then flash and push him away from the tower range, and then you're gonna land with your ultimate on the backside, as we all know. So instead of landing in the tower range, you're actually gonna land on the side. So if it's important to avoid the tower shot, that can be impactful. Next one. Second mistake, I see this quite often. I've done this myself a couple of times lately, which is really annoying. You need to get rid of this. It's that when you're queuing and you're too close to the wall and you're queuing into the wall with the Q direction, you're actually going to get slowed down because the animation is going to be just as long as normal, but the distance is shorter. So that means its speed is going to be slower, and therefore it's going to be a lot easier to dodge. And also what you're doing when you're queuing into them like this is that you're giving him two directions to dodge. What I want you to do instead is that when you're queuing, you move close to the wall and then you can queue parallel. Now they have no way of dodging, right? They can try to move upwards, but they have only one way to dodge, and that's going to make it way easier, and it's going to be way more reliable, and it's going to be much faster. So it's harder to flash and this kind of stuff. So start doing that instead. Number 3, this is very common to do. It's when you're ganking, you're charging your Q too early. This is going to make it very difficult because it's going to make it way too easy for the enemy team to space you. You're not going to be able to connect it, which is going to make your ganks way too weak. So you also have a long cooldown on your Q, so you're not going to get it back up again, so you don't get a second chance. So you got to make sure you connect this one. So you don't charge it too early, make it too easy for the enemy team to space it. So what you want to do is walk up a bit closer than you normally want to do, and then you start charging it, so you make sure you can actually connect that. That's going to make a huge impact on your ganks. It's going to be way more effective. Next. So fourth mistake, it's a little bit different, but it's connected to the last one, and that is I want you to hold your Qs sometimes when you're ganking. So when you know you can get into range with doing auto attack, especially when you're playing against champion with dashes, if they don't have a dash, just go with the form one. You can charge your Q. In other cases, especially if you have red buff, I just want you to get up close and start hitting the target if you're able to get into range before you use your Q. So then you can just get up, hit, and then you use the dash or the flash, and then you can follow up with the Q. So very often you're just charging your Q early in the gank, go for it, they use their dash, they're suddenly out, not going to get your Q back up again. If you're level 9, you got a bit of CDR, then it's going to be a little bit different because then your Q is down to like 4 seconds. But in the early game, especially like level 3, 4, 5 even, it's going to be very difficult. You're just going to get one Q and you got to make it count. So it's kind of similar to the thing with the Lee Sin and Jarvans. You know, all the good Lee Sins, they just walk up close, they use the safeguard to get into range, start slowing them, and then they use the Q when it's 100% able to hit them. Same with Jarvans, they just walk up, they don't combo from range and just make it easy for the enemy team to use the dash. They just walk up, start slowing, and then they start hitting the target, and then they follow up with the combo when they use flash or their dash. So next one. So the fifth mistake is early queue releases. So this is going to be especially important if the enemy team has some sort of counterplay. In many cases you have outplay potentially if you're able to hold your queue. So this is true for like champions with dashes, if the enemy team has a flash, if the enemy team has counterplay like Thresh, they have the flay, or Fiora parry for example. Just a couple of examples. Pantheon E to stop some of the damage. So instead of just using your queuing and releasing it when you're in range, when you think you can connect it, many times you just want to hold on to it, let the enemy use their ability, their counterplay, and then you're actually getting in for the queue. This is true for like flashes, Ezreal with Arc and Shift. You can just walk up close, force him to use it, and when he's using it, then you follow up. The same goes for like Thresh Flay. When you can just walk up, try to bait him, walk a bit back and forth, and then you go in for the queue. The same for Fiora, Pantheon. There are many more cases. This is going to allow you so many more ganks that you thought weren't gankable. So next. So last one, finally. This is just a small one, but it happens sometimes. And not too long ago I saved someone with this mistake, and it's queuing people over the wall unintentionally. So sometimes if you're queuing them in a straight line like this, you're able to knock them over the wall, which can be beneficial, but in many cases you don't want to do this because you're not able to follow up, and that's going to be very unfortunate. So you're going to look out for these small walls. What you want to do instead to prevent this is to actually just queue them in slightly angled. So if you're close like this, instead of queuing them in a straight line, queue with a little bit of angle, and you're not going to be able to queue them over the wall. So that's just a small trick, but it can really be helpful and give you a couple of kills extra. To wrap it up, I just want to thank everyone for watching. I appreciate every like, every comment, every viewer. It's been really cool. Every new sub, it's awesome to see everyone joining in. You're so positive and you're making this so much more enjoyable. So I just want to thank you guys and see you on the next one.